Hey guys, so it's Jimmy, and in today's video, I wanted to give you a little bit of kind of just updates on the business. There's no script in this video. I'm just going to be transparent, and my goal is kind of just to share some of the key lessons that I've learned inside of my own business over the last few months, right? And obviously, this video isn't designed to get a ton of views. It's not designed to sell anything either. I just want to document some of my lessons for myself, honestly, more so than anything else, so that down the line, 2-3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I could come back to watch some of these videos and see what I was doing at this time in 2024, right? So I think in this video, right, I think it's important to establish some little bit background context, right? So for me, I run a lead generation agency where I help B2B businesses book sales calls by using cold emails. Up until now, I started this business around 2 years ago in October 2024. And up until this point, the primary ways that we've been able to just get clients and make money has been using two channels, right? The first is cold emails, and the second channel is by creating content. So even this YouTube channel that you're seeing right now, it drives a lot of traffic and it helps you get a lot of sales calls with potential clients. So that's my first business. I also have a consulting business, but that's not really what I'm talking about in today's video, right? And inside of my lead generation agency, the top month that we had revenue wise was 63K, and that was back in August. In September, it was a little bit lower. It was around $56,000 in terms of revenue. And I've just been spending a lot of time in the last few weeks just seriously thinking about ways to grow, because my ultimate goal is to grow my lead generation agency to around 150K per month. My goal is to do that in the next 6 months. And my business has kind of just been stagnating at that 50 to 60K a month mark for literally like the last 6-7 months. If you go back into my channel, right, I think my first 50K month was last year in December. So that was actually almost a year ago. So I've been stuck at a similar level in my business for around a year. Since that time, I made a little bit of like operational changes, putting some key people in place, stuff like that. For example, I don't take my own sales calls anymore, right? Because it's just not the best use of my time. So I made some of those operational adjustments, but the revenue in terms of growth, in terms of the money made, just hasn't really grew at the level or at the pace that I'd want to. And I've been spending a lot of time over the last few weeks just focusing on and strategizing on the best way for me to continue growing. And there's been a lot of major things, and that's kind of why I'm making this video today as well. So primarily, right, we've been using cold emails to generate clients. And I think like a lot of people, right, because I think when it comes to businesses, you have to understand that growth isn't linear. It kind of goes like this, right? And when you're pushing really hard, your revenue goes like that. And after that, as you scale really hard, you're gonna run into certain problems inside the business. So for example, for most people going from 0 to 10K, the primary thing is just getting more people to know about who they are. And then let's say they're at 10K per month, they probably have 3 to 5 clients, depending on how much that person is charging. They're gonna run into other problems that isn't necessarily just generating more traffic. So for example, making sure the clients get really great results. Maybe the person who's running that business at 10K per month is spending a ton of time doing this, and they just don't have enough free time to do whatever they want to be doing, right? Those are problems that generating more traffic is not gonna solve those problems, right? And at that point, it's that individual just needs to build systems to fix each of those individual problems, right? Fixing client acquisition and traffic is the easy part. That's just finding eyeballs. And figuring out the other stuff is not necessarily just about sending more cold emails, right? And the same concept applies even to where I'm at in my business, even to everyone else that you probably know of on YouTube who's making a ton of money, right? They run into the same problems, right? Whenever they want to make more money, all that is, it could be solved by just spending more on ads or sending more emails or creating more content, just basically to get more traffic and eyeballs. And after they scale to a certain level, they got other problems they gotta fix, right? So for example, hiring people or building actual systems to systemize their service delivery or systemize their business. And for me, I spent a lot of time over the last few months, really over the last year, building those systems so that realistically, I don't really have to spend that much time in my agency. I probably spend 1 to 2 hours a day. And a lot of that is connecting with my team members, my salesperson, my inbox managers, my systems integrators, all of those different people, which is why I have so much time spent towards creating YouTube videos, teaching people how to build their own lead generation agency. But for where I want to be inside my business, which is 150K per month within the next 6 months, the biggest thing I have to solve is client acquisition. And what I realized is by using cold emails is a fantastic channel to go from 0 to 50K per month because it's cost efficient. It doesn't cost that much money, right? It's, you're able to send a lot of emails every single day. You're able to generate a lot of traffic. But the problem with it is what I have found is it kind of caps at around $50,000 per month. And trust me, I tried really hard to scale my business through cold emails past that 50K per month. And what I realized is if you look at everyone at the top, the only way that these guys, these agencies are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even millions of dollars a month, is by running paid ads. And for the longest time, I never necessarily ran paid ads because I just didn't know how to do it. There's a lot of stigma around it, and it does cost a lot of money, right? So even like I think I tried looking into running paid ads, so Instagram ads and YouTube ads, around 6 months ago, and over the last 6 months, I've spent a disgustingly amount of money on paid ads. I think I spent 40 or 50 grand, and I didn't necessarily make back any money, so I kind of just chucked 40, 50 grand. And I realized that it's, I wasted enough time, and it's time for me to just really figure this out. And that kind of brings me to my first point, where is inside of a business, you should never look at any money spent as an expense. It's more so of an investment. So even the 40 to 50 grand that I spent over the last 6 months just trying to crack ads where I've done so unsuccessfully, in the beginning, I looked at it kind of like, well, I just lost 40, 50 grand. I could have used that 40 grand and did a lot of other stuff, right? Like literally, even if I just saved that money or went out and just bought some random stuff, my life probably would have improved from a lifestyle point of view. And it was very easy for me to look at it like that. But then as I started maturing and just meeting more people, I realized that all the successful people, even when they do lose money inside their business, they don't necessarily look at it as an expense. They look at it more so as an investment to collect data. Because even for me, in relation to what I'm doing, I spent 40 to 50 grand on ads, didn't make a single sale, didn't make back any of my money. However, now I have a ton of data as to what works and what doesn't. I know that, my message has to change a little bit. Maybe the people that I'm targeting has to change a little bit. And I wouldn't have known this had I not spent that money. Now, obviously, I don't think I needed to spend 40 to 50 grand to get those lessons, but the point still stands. And if you're watching this video and you're trying to start a business and you're looking at some of these, costs, and you're a little bit hesitant, I want you to try to think of it more so as an investment. Because yes, it sucks if you're spending $300 a month on email accounts, let's just say. Yeah, it might suck to not see a return for a little while, but what if it does work? And if it doesn't work, even if it doesn't work, you're spending $300 to collect a lot of data, and you will now understand what works and what doesn't work. More importantly, what doesn't work, so that you could do the things and focus on the things that actually do work. And that was a massive mindset shift that I just really had to kind of flip the switch on. And that is not looking at expenses inside the business as spending money, but more so investing money to collect data and understand what works and what doesn't. And that kind of leads me to my second point, where after I spent all of this money and more importantly, wasted so much time, because 6 months to a year, it's a really long time, right? Like if I knew what I was doing, I'd be way more ahead right now. And that was the importance of just finding someone who's just more ahead of me, right? Doing what I want to do, finding someone who is making 150K per month at least, and learning directly from them. And that's actually what I did earlier this week, right? I found someone, a mentor who is well ahead of me, who's been in the game for 5 years, 5+ years. I've only been in the game for 2 to 3 years now, right? And I actually paid him money. I paid him $20,000 to learn directly from him. And it's like a one-to-one mentorship type of thing. Because I realized that I just don't know what I didn't know, right? If I knew how to run ads successfully, if I knew how to be making 150 grand per month, I'd be making 150 grand per month right now. I wouldn't be stuck at 50 to 60 grand per month. And that was a very important realization that I had to make, because for the longest time, I kind of just thought that I knew what I was doing, and I would kind of just figure it out. I save the money and just spend that money instead on ads and try to figure it out. And obviously looking back at it, I just wasted a ton of money, but more importantly, wasted a ton of time. And I kind of just had to drop my ego a little bit and just accept the fact that I just don't know what I don't know. And maybe I'll figure this out if I continue spending another 40, 50 grand, but it'll also take me another 6 months to a year, and I might not even be making more money than what I am right now, right? So that was a very important lesson I just had to accept, which is dropping my ego and getting help whenever I just needed it, right? But that also kind of leads me to my next point, which was the person I found was a mentor. It was an individual person. It wasn't someone who was like selling a course or, you know, selling this other thing for like $1,000 or $2,000, teaching me a bunch of generic skills and general information. I found someone who was excelling at a very specific thing. So what I had to do was I had to just sit there for a little bit with a notebook. Well, I use Google Docs, right? But sit there with a Google Docs and kind of just list out, okay, so right now I'm at 50 to 60 grand. I want to be at 150 grand in the next 6 months. What are the key 3 to 5 things that will drive my growth to 150 grand? Because realistically, anytime you're trying to grow in your business, whether that's going from 0 to 10K, 10K to 30K, 30K to 50K, 50K to 100K, you don't need to do 20 different things in order to get there. There's really only 3 to 5 things usually that drive 80 to 90% of that growth to allow you to hit those revenue benchmarks and whatever goal you're trying to achieve. And I had to sit there and really think about it, and I concluded that I needed to learn how to do ads. So I went out and found someone who's successful at ads, and I'm learning directly from them. So the problem with courses is it teaches you 20 different things. But again, right, in reality, you only need 3 or 5 things to focus on and get really good at that will allow you to hit your goal. So that's kind of what I learned too, because I've spent probably 30, 40 grand as well over the last 2-3 years on just a bunch of different courses, and you know, to varying levels of success. A lot of them were just really, really bad. Some of them were actually pretty good. The vast majority of them weren't that good. And that's kind of just what I realized, that the importance of just finding a mentor, not someone who's selling a course. Because a mentor, especially if you're able to work with them one-on-one. So I actually had a one-on-one call with my mentor yesterday, and it was super valuable. It's like a 1-hour call. I think it was like 59 minutes long or something, right? And I was able to just ask him questions, show up, ask him questions. I put all the questions I had before, like I put it on a Google Doc, I sent it to him the night before, and I jumped onto the call, and I was just like, yeah, so here are the questions. This is what I'm dealing with. These are some of the questions, and what are your thoughts on it, mentor, right? And that's essentially what I did. And even for that, I've only had one one-on-one call with him so far, and it's just been insanely valuable. I got more clarity, and now I know where I need to focus on and spend all my time to actually focus on to get me to the next level. And I'm very confident now that within the next 6 months, I will be at 150 grand per month, right? If I focus on the right things, having that unwavering belief that I have what it takes, that person isn't too different. Like, I think that's part of finding a mentor too, right? Is when you're working with someone one-on-one, you will quickly realize after you have a brief conversation that that person, he's not a completely different dude from who you are right now. I spoke with my mentor and I realized that he's not too different than me. He's just a few steps ahead of me, and he understands a very specific piece of knowledge or how to do something very specifically that is allowing him to be 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of me. And that's something that you will realize as well if you find a mentor, right? But again, right, if you find someone who just sells courses, you're probably not going to find that, because you're not going to be directly talking with the person who is even selling that course. Most likely the person selling the course, they don't really care that much either. They're just, you know, they whip together a series of 20, 30 videos. They're selling to you for $1,000, $2,000, whatever the case is. And they're kind of just like, here's the videos. Watch these videos, good luck, you're on your way, type of thing, right? And I found that system to be not super efficient. So just finding a mentor, a person specifically who would give you time one-on-one where you're able to hop on, ask your specific questions in your specific scenario and get specific answers and figure out the clarity on next steps, right? Prior to working with this mentor, when I first heard it was 20 grand, I had a little bit of hesitation, right? Like, I mean, like anyone else, 20 grand is a lot of money. You could go and buy a whole car with 20 grand, right? That's a lot of rent money, right? Stuff like that, right? And I was super hesitant, but I also thought about the consequences of me just being stuck at 50, 60 grand per month. Now I know what this sounds like, you know, maybe to some of you guys who are watching this video who are, you know, just starting their business, 50 to 60 grand it's a dream, right? That sounds like a lot of money, which it is, but at the same time, I think it's also normal where anyone who goes from, let's say, 0 to 10K, once they're at 10K, their only goal is to get to 20K. Once they're at 20K, their only goal is to get to 50K. Once they're at 50K, their only goal is to get to 100K, right? That's the game of business, and that's the way it is. It's not necessarily greed. That's just ambition and wanting more for your own life. And that's kind of what I realized is, what are the consequences of being stuck and just doing what I'm currently doing for the next year, the next 2 years. And I realized that that reality just kind of sucks. And for the cost of $20,000, which, by the way, I can make back if I wanted to, I can make that back with relative ease. By spending the 20K and investing the 20K, it could get me to double the size of my business, maybe even triple the size of my business, right? And more importantly, I just don't want to waste more time, effort, and waste more money just trying to figure this all out on my own, right? So these are kind of just the main lessons that I learned over the last few months, specifically on me running my own lead generation agency, kind of my path going from where I am right now, from 50 to 60K to 100 to 150K per month in the next 6 months. So, you know, I know this video was kind of a little bit like a rant. Again, I didn't have a script, you know, I was kind of just yapping and just ranting a little bit off the top of my head. But again, right, the purpose I'm making this video is not for any other purpose other than just for myself. So 2-3 years from now, when I'm making more than 150K per month, I'll look back at this video and I'll be like, oh yeah, so in October of 2024, I was stuck at this level. I was stuck with these specific problems, and here's what I did. And kind of as a reminder to myself as well in the future that I was able to figure it out, right? And whatever problem I'm dealing with then, at that point, I'll still be able to figure it all out, right? So that's kind of what I wanted to share in today's video. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya.